All right, everyone, we are supposedly live. Just a minute, though, because that may not be the case on Rumble, so I've got to wait and reload the page. Cougar Kitty, a wizard is never late. That is correct. Oh, I should have my thing open here. Just a second, everyone. We get a lot to talk about today. This will be mainly super chat driven, but I do have some news that we have to get to. Could talk about that dude from Nebraska that Trump endorsed and lost, and the fixation of the legacy media on that as well. Was it Herbster? I think his name was. I think he was purportedly a felon or something like that. We can talk about that maybe too. But let me refresh this first. Make sure we're actually live on Rumble. To all of the Rumble peeps, I got your back, yo. Yes, we are indeed live there. Okay, let me bring that to the bottom. Yes, okay, we're live there. Anyway, we've got several things that we have to talk about today. News stories, of course. There is a crypto crash. The Putin price hikes, Biden's latest excuse for his Bidenflation. We'll talk about some of the excuses that he's been using, actually, because all of them can be easily debunked. I'm considering doing like a main video on that topic, but I think it's low-hanging fruit because it's self-evident to anyone who's not like a Biden super fan, which means 10 people, or a Dem partisan, which means more people than are actually fans of Joe Biden. Also, we'll talk about the baby formula shortage within the United States. I covered it in brief today in my exclusive. By the way, if anyone is not watching me on some combination of Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, or Minds.com, you should definitely, if you're watching this on YouTube mainly, you should follow me on one or more of those sites because I do upload exclusive content every day. We will be talking, don't worry, we'll be talking about the crypto crash and how I don't care. I think we'll cover baby formula first, actually, even though it's third in the title. Whoops, I misordered things. Thankfully, I didn't misgender them. Then I'd get a channel strike. And with baby formula, right now, at the moment in the United States, there is a shortage of baby formula. That is the powdered substance. It's generally cow milk based, although goat milk has been used. There's some sort of a baby formula here that's goat milk based. I'm wondering, actually looking into that. But unfortunately, what happened is that some time ago, the FDA shut down one of the main packing plants that made baby formula in the United States. This caused a problem already. Secondly, you had shortages of agricultural goods and presumably the chemical goods that go into actually processing baby formula because of lockdowners. Thirdly, I think that the compounding factor, and arguably the most main factor, is that people are stocking up on goods, and baby formula would be one of those goods. They're grabbing up more at what they perceive of as a likely lower price because of Bidenflation. I think that it's basically the prepping has spread from usually people who are on the lower end of income or people who are, like me, like a libertarian or something. I want a well-stocked pantry. I think that people are buying up more goods because they realize they will be more expensive a month later, more expensive the next month and the next month and the next month. They're expecting at least a recession, a prolonged mild recession, and possibly like a 46, 47 depression. And so what I think is happening right now is that people are going in and buying a bunch of baby formula and they're exhausting the supply, which has already been throttled by multiple factors. And that's the problem in the US. The reason why you would want to stock up, if you're watching this and you're European, Asian or something, the US is considering the possibility of importing foreign stock. That is formula that's from the shelves in Western Europe, Japan, places like that. You should be worried about this. If you have an infant, you're using formula. If you know someone else who does, or you just believe in prepping in general, you should probably have some on hand. It stores well, for a year, 2 years. It depends, I believe, on the brand. But yes, there is a baby formula shortage in the United States. Ironically, Biden chooses exactly the moment that shortage becomes evident to send $40 billion to Ukraine. Now, you can think what you want about the Russian invasion into Ukraine, the role of arms sales, the roles of mercenaries and stuff. I don't personally see a problem with selling weapons to the Ukrainians. But Ukraine's not even directly allied to the United States, and we're sending them 40 billion no strings attached dollars, much of which will end up in the pockets of people in Congress, Zelensky, etc., various oligarchs within Ukraine. It's a way that politics works there. The big guy will get his 10%. It has nothing to do with helping the Ukrainian people. I can assure you of that. It's war piggery. It's horseshit. Even the Russians will probably pocket some of that money. That's the whole point. We can also talk about the Putin price hikes. This is the concept that Biden has put forward to explain excessive inflation. Now, excessive inflation began a couple of months after Biden took office. Literally took it. And none of the inflation prior to a couple of months ago could possibly have anything to do with Russia or Ukraine, because that war had not actually begun at the time. We're supposed to ignore inflation that I believe was already over 7% prior, in favor of blaming Putin, even though the fuel shortages that are exacerbated by the lack of Russian oil and gas don't really touch the U.S. much. You've got to understand that that was an extremely small proportion of U.S. energy consumption. It was in the single-digit range. It doesn't help. Certainly, it adds injury to the injury, but it's a minute proportion of that. What really happened is that Biden decided to print a bunch of funny money, massively hyper-regulate the energy industry, go after drilling permits, go after literally everything that he could effectively at this point. And what happened is that the gas prices rose. But that's part of it. It's just commensurate with the price hikes, the Biden price hikes anyway. And he is so far, here's a laundry list of people that he's blamed or groups that he's blamed for the economic situation in the U.S., which, by the way, and nobody seems to be pointing this out, is an admission that the U.S. economy is not doing well. For all of his bravado saying, whoa, we've brought America roaring back, where the best days are ahead of us, we've built back better already, which they've retired that term. It's very interesting, therefore, that you would hyperfixate upon inflation, etc., even saying it's your number one priority. I think that Biden's main priority is getting his brand muffin and his adult undergarments changed. You're fixating on that, but you have to keep finding other people to blame. So first it was Trump left us a mess. Nobody bought it because quite clearly Trump did a good job economically. There were things that I disagreed with Trump on economically, but by and large, he was, at least on that count, definitely a good president. Certainly the best we've seen since first-term Reagan. Biden doesn't come anywhere close to that. When that failed, it was price gouging. The corporations are just raising their prices to astronomical levels. I'll get into that in a moment. And now it's the Putin price hikes in the wake of the Ukrainian invasion. And I warned that this would happen. The second that it happened, that they were declaring an invasion, I said, okay, Biden is happy. He's got his because he'll be able to blame them for all of the resultant issues that his own policies have caused. As for the price gouging, I'd like to point out a basic mathematical fact. If the currency is being devaluated because the prices are skyrocketing, if a company does not make 10, 20% more year over year, it's actually losing value. The fact is that it's not so reasonable to look at the actual dollar inventory of things, how much something costs, how much a company or a person made. It's only really valuable as a measure to look at how much those dollars can buy. $100, well, the measure is meaningless. What can $100 buy? If you're talking about $100 100 years ago, you're rich. You can buy a house probably with that. $100 today, you won't even be able to fill a shopping cart. So you see that the dollar amount, when it's fixated on, especially by Elizabeth Warren, she's the number one culprit of all of them, Klobuchar and Buttigieg and all of these others. When they're fixated on corporate profits, they're lying to people because they're using a fixed value of the dollar as opposed to the very malleable value that they themselves have made more malleable through funny money printing. So yes, there are no Putin price hikes. You won't see them until late summer, early autumn, when the harvest comes in, when the fertilizer and gas prices begin affecting all of the agricultural goods. That's when the shit will hit the fan. By the way, that'll become evident before midterms. Another reason why all the black pillars out there saying, well, the Democrats will just cheat their way in the 2022 election. I don't think they'll be able to. I think that they're going to crash and burn way harder come, let's say, July, maybe, certainly August and through September, thereabouts. Only a couple of months before the midterms. It's going to be one for the ages. By the way, there will be probably a co-host on my midterm stream. It's someone who has been mentioned a lot. I'm not going to mention who it is yet because we've got to set things up because I don't actually know through StreamYard how to have a co-host, someone who's there through the whole show, and bring another person on while also having potentially graphics like maps and stuff up. I will figure it out. We will do an unlisted like test stream or something like that. But it'll be a time before we can get to that. Also, we'll talk about the crypto crash. Cryptocurrency, of course, right now down considerably over the last, well, roughly month now. I would like to point out that it's still well above the former high that it was at before the last height, which is can't remember what it was for Bitcoin, a considerable amount. I'm not selling off my crypto, and by the way, disclaimer: nothing I'm about to say is economic advice, financial advice of any kind. This is my own opinion. I'm still going to do the HODL thing. I'm going to hold on for dear life. I've got diamond hands, so to speak, with crypto. It's not out of stubbornness or out of a penchant for just staying in my lane and saying, well, I've got this crypto, I better hold on to it because if I sell it, people will think I'm a cuck. No, actually, if I were to sell all of the crypto that I've got, I would still make a fairly hefty profit because much of it was just donated in the first place. You have to pay taxes on the receipt of that. I would still make out with, God, I think $15,000, $20,000, but I'm holding on to it. And that's out of, and again, this is not financial advice, this is my opinion. It's out of a genuine belief that this is basically replicating what happened years ago, where crypto did the same thing. It fell down to lows. Everyone declared it dead. The legacy media from wall to wall was nothing but negative coverage. Oh, the scam has been exposed. This time it's dead for sure, after the prior 2 or 3 times that it had happened as well. What I would point out to people is something very important, which is that a large proportion of the smart money is still invested in crypto. Entire nations are now delving into crypto. PayPal delves into crypto. Major banks delve into crypto. Do you think that the billionaires did that to lose money? They bought it at a previous height, expecting it to fall so that they could lose fiat currency value? Of course not. And these people are politically connected. What they want is to scare, and I warned about this. You'll remember last year I warned that they would try to crush the crypto market, and that the whole goal was to chase people like you and me out of crypto so that they could buy it up at pennies on the dollar, so that when it has its upswing, they could make bank, and so that they could control more of the world's currency. They're afraid of crypto is what's actually the case. I'm holding on. I'm not selling any of it. If anything, I'm going to beg people for more crypto donations and probably buy in more if it goes much lower. If crypto goes just a little bit lower, it's at my threshold to buy in more. And I believe that it'll go much, much higher in the future because of the design, especially of Bitcoin. Any specific individual kind of crypto, especially like the shitcoin side of things, yeah, they could collapse. Some of them are Ponzi schemes. You have to be aware of that. Others are pegged directly into this larger market, which represents a tiny minority of the world's economy, and also a tiny minority of the potential interests that could buy in, but they are steadily doing that more and more. It's the tip of the iceberg. Now, when people are saying that crypto is collapsing and it's the end of crypto, I would also point out one other thing. Look at the state of the world economy right now. You have hyperinflation. You have a looming possible global depression, whether it's more like 46, 47 or more like the Dust Bowl era remains to be seen. The whole world economy is on the downturn. No shit, crypto is going to be affected by it. Even precious metals are being affected. By the way, when the precious metals are having a problem along with the stock market, you've got a real big problem. Normally, those things juxtapose one another. They're balanced. People buy into precious metals and things like that when the normal markets aren't working so well. Likewise, when things are going well in the normal markets, they neglect to get more silver or something like that. When that happens, when both of these things are dropping together, wouldn't it be odd if crypto weren't also dropping? The world economy has been pumped with tens of trillions of dollars of funny money. Of course, there's going to be a lull. I don't think crypto is going anywhere. Yes, I realize it's just zeros and ones on a computer somewhere. That Benjamin that you have in your pocket's just a piece of paper. Its pragmatic usability is only as a means of exchange. How's that different from crypto in the electronic sense? And by the way, when people say, well, all we have to do is have a good solar flare or something and your crypto goes bye-bye, that is correct. Just like a house fire can burn up all of your Benjamins, by the way, just to be clear about what we're dealing with. If that were to happen, crypto wouldn't be the only thing that would become, completely valueless. The fiat would too. You think anyone's going to want to trade for your US dollars, your rubles, your won, your yen, your euros? Nobody's going to accept that. They'll accept metal. They'll accept tangible goods they can actually use. It'll be a barter system or something like that. So if crypto goes the way of the dinosaur, it's because the world's electronic networks have been knocked on their ass. It'll knock multiple cultures back to the Stone Age, causing a spiraling Great Depression. Well, you got worse things to worry about than the fact that you lost $100 of Bitcoin at that point. Just saying. We'll go through some super chats here, by the way. Oh, and we have to talk about Herbster still. Just remind me in a little while. The Cancer Man, would you feed the rage pig corn cobs and kiwis? I know what that refers to, but I am not involved with that particular e-drama. Although I have tacitly weighed in on it. I think when content creators, knife one another, it's generally not helpful. But I'm not involved with that because, I'm just sitting here analyzing politics like I have for 10 years. Not a banned account. Star Trek says World War III will start because of January 6th. Interesting take. Other people think it'll start because of Roe v. Wade. Gerald Armstrong, what is going on with Trump's old cabinet, especially Rick Grenell, using leftist tactics to make sure Dr. Oz wins? Also, Crenshaw is a stooge. Yeah, Dan Crenshaw is a stooge. He's a war pig. He's a war whore, basically. He does not deserve to be reelected. He's a useful idiot. Less useful and more idiot, sort of like Lindsey Graham on steroids, I suppose. This slightly less unbearable version of John McCain. To be clear, I would not vote for Dr. Oz. I realize he's gotten Trump's endorsement, but while most of the candidates he's endorsed are at least tolerable and some of them are outright good, Dr. Oz is not one of them. You should not vote for Dr. Oz if you are in Pennsylvania and taking a GOP primary ballot. Not a banned account. Should we sacrifice excess babies to a deity? Some cultures have done that. Most of them don't exist anymore, so it doesn't seem to do too well. Garrett Thomas, what are your thoughts on Dr. Oz being endorsed by the World Economic Forum? That might be a poison pill move, but it wouldn't hugely surprise me. He does seem to be a globalist. I think that basically the talk show circuit thing is why Trump endorsed him, and I think it was a mistake. Trump has made some mistakes in his life, just less than many other politicians have done. Jeroen Aldain, did you see the pic of your family I posted at you on Twitter? If not, we'll PM it. Same name. Yeah, you can DM me on Twitter. Rock Sicklinhammer 999. Squawkers tap in. Eric Johnson, I just planted some red potatoes last week. What can I do to ensure that they grow big and get as many as possible? I hope you put some wood ash underneath them when you planted them. That'll give them a boost in phosphate early on. Just burn some logs, take the ashes, and work them into the soil around the potatoes. That'll help. Not a banned account. Should critics of the administration be arrested? Biden seems to think so. Not really confusing why. He doesn't have any way to rebut them because he's got Alzheimer's, and the puppeteers there, they're all a bunch of crazy Nazis. So, Salty Ironworker, earlier you said DeSantis shouldn't be VP. What are your thoughts on maybe a cabinet position if Trump is president again? Would it be helpful for him to get his feet wet in DC, so to speak? Blessings to you, Mama and Baby Sticks. Well, thank you for that. No, I think it's better for him to remain a popular governor. He's got executive experience. The best possible trajectory for the sort of MAGA, liberty-loving side of the GOP right now is this. Trump runs in 24, he gets it. Rand Paul is his vice president. That seat will remain Republican. He doesn't have to contest it. Rand Paul, who currently only has legislative experience, therefore becoming vice president, gives him executive. Trump gives him a term. Rand runs. Rand is older than DeSantis by, I think, 8 years, almost exactly, I think, if I remember correctly. Rand gets his term or 2 terms. Then he grabs up DeSantis. DeSantis runs. So you have a trifecta, effectively. Trump can go well beyond simply being the comeback kid and having his second non-consecutive term. He can effectively coronate an entire lineage of people who I think would do a good job. I believe Rand Paul would be an exceptional president. He may even be better than Donald Trump, but he doesn't have any executive experience yet. So Trump should give it to him. Give him a reach around on that one. Eric CB912. Have you seen 2,000 Mules, even though you've already seen evidence that Biden fairly won? Honk, honk. No, I've seen some parts of it. I have not bothered to watch it yet. Mainly because it's a non-starter. I mean, the election was quite some time ago. Even if you suspect honking went on, there's really nothing to be done at this point. Be better to do what Bannon is doing. Focus on subsuming state and local power. Not a banned account. Which demon could help correct the U.S. economy? I think that literally any spiritual figure throughout all of human history from all religions and cultures would do a better job than Biden. So any of them. Take your pick. Oh, this demon that's drunk all the time and just talks about wanting to get possessed and turn your head around 180 degrees? Makes more sense than Bidenomics. Sea of Noise on Twitch. El Salvador is about to default. Oh, okay, so it's time for their yearly holiday. Mr. Wonderful, in the Australian federal election debate the other night, the Prime Minister and the opposition leader were asked to define a woman. Both answered an adult female. Both are disqualified from SCOTUS. Yeah, apparently. Katanji couldn't answer that question. That's why she got the job. Fair Frozen 55. Sticks, your alchemist words have turned my hands into diamonds. I thank you. Because of how late I got in, I'll be losing with these numbers, so I hold. Yeah, I'm holding on to my crypto. Several tens of thousands of dollars of it. I'm not going to sell it off. If anything, I'll buy more, actually, considering the price. But that's, again, disclaimer, not fiscal advice. In my opinion, it is likely to rise up again. That this is just the new low after a height. It's happened before 5 or 6 times. I don't have any reason to believe that as it gets adopted by more institutions, which it has over the last couple of years, that this isn't anything other than it being tied to the global economy. The global economy is being wrecked right now. Well, the economy will recover at some point. This is Jimmy Carter. It's not. Even if it hits depression levels, we will get through it unless there's like a nuclear war or something. And if that happens, I don't really care if my crypto goes the way of the dinosaur. The atomic mushroom cloud will eat up all my fiat too. It'll melt my silver into a slurry and mix it with dirt. So who cares? Not a banned account. How soon will SCOTUS end women's suffrage next? Yeah, that's what the leftoids are predicting right now. Because of the end of Roe v. Wade, women will lose the vote, supposedly. They'll come for contraception again. Pretty soon we'll bring back slavery, I suppose. All of the terrible things in the world will happen because of this decision. Not a banned account yet again. Should we now re-examine the Third Amendment? No, we shouldn't re-examine any of the prior amendments. They're fine. Just pass another couple of them. Enshrine into law the concept that corporations that take any form of government subsidy or grant or platform any form of government official or service that is taxpayer funded, of course, like NOAA, USGS, etc., that they must conform to the same basic premise of the First and Fourth Amendments. That's all you need. Make them common carriers, enshrine it in the Constitution. Aaron Bennett, if we do go into a depression, how badly will the midterms go for the Democrats? Also, McConnell is a dangerous neocon. He needs to be recalled. Don't recall him. Just remove him from power after the midterms. Get a new Senate majority leader, because it certainly won't be Chuck Schumer at that point. The only good thing about McConnell is he's really, really good at going through the Senate rules and procedures and getting things done. The problem is what he gets done is not always what you want. Really good with the judges thing under Trump. They filled hundreds and hundreds of empty slots left by Obama because, of course, Senate Majority Leader at the time was not so up on his procedural game. That was McConnell's. If McConnell ever did anything useful, it would be that. It'd be basically appointing half the judiciary. Eric writes, no real comment or question, just wishing you and your family well. Take care, Sticks. Well, thank you. Yeah, Crawford Glissadevil pointing out something. Wood ash will not work in alkaline soil. Check your pH soil level. Yes, always do a pH check in general. Back in Rutland, it's perfectly balanced. I don't know what it is here. I'd have to take a sample, I suppose. I've never seen a pH test actually around here, though. Drew Albane, sent at Sticks666 official. Stock market, if used their rules, would list oil corps as failing, sub 7%. Yeah, in many cases. After Bidenflation, you got to understand, you're making 10% more profit, but you're paying 15% more for everything you do. You're not making more profit on anything but paper. Government thinks you're making a lot more. They'll gladly tax you more for that. It's the same for personal income. Oh, I'm making 10% more income. I get to pay, 3% higher tax rate. Too bad the purchasing power of the income that I made is completely stagnant. Oh, basically I lost money. Thanks, Uncle Sam. Deprived Dolphin. Abortion and stem cell industry is a giant money laundering scheme for the Dem Party to use tax dollars for campaign and pocket lining. Now, stem cell therapy is a very good thing, ultimately. It shows potential to cure or treat a host of diseases, and I don't understand exactly why people are against it. Some of them, by the way, use adult stem cells anyway, so I'm not sure that that would have any relevance. I believe in a woman's right to choose. I'm pro-choice. It can potentially be used for money laundering, but I think that the average politician prefers a Chinese offshore company. They'll put it in a slush fund. They invest in a firm that invests in a firm in some other country. That firm has a fund, a general fund that gets siphoned back, shows up in a U.S. corporation as some sort of investment, and then all of a sudden they donate $100 million to the DNC. And then all of a sudden that DNC decides to send disproportionate amounts of that money to certain candidates who happen to help broker the deal in the first place. You don't need any domestic firms to carry this out. Let's see. There's so many super chats. Daroon Albane. Paper gold is dropping, not physical gold. Bitcoin just needs to pick a solid year to have holder ping their coin after a year pull and unpinged and resell. Biden canceled most Alaskan leases, I believe. Yes, it appears that Joe Biden has canceled a whole slew of additional oil leases. That'll be good for the economy. Less U.S. energy. Thank you for landing claws first on my hand, kitty. That was really, yeah. Okay. You all right? You got an itchy spot? This is now the show. I'm getting the goofy spot. Right here, if you itch a cat right here, they'll always, meow, or they'll go. Anyway, yeah. Sorry, I got distracted by the pain in my hand. No blood drawn this time, so that's an improvement. Nick Ray, do you think there's a chance of Hong Kong happening again in 2024 or not a chance at this point? You got to understand that the states predominantly control their elections. In most of the vulnerable states, they've decided to take steps to prevent the honkening from happening again. So no, not on the same level. Not on a level that would look viable anyway. My anti-scurvy drink. I'm doing the best I can. I'm going on 4 hours of sleep and lots of caffeine. Miguel Barrera, what are your thoughts on Mike Cernovich? Is all right. Some of his takes are really good. Some of his takes are pants on head mode. But that tends to go true for any creator, so not singling anyone out. For instance, the Trump derangement syndrome over his endorsement supposedly not mattering. I disagree with Cernovich on that. Yes, Trump's endorsement did help J.D. Vance to win, etc., etc. Pooping while standing. Schrodinger's feminism. A woman is simultaneously a victim and empowered. Until something happens, then she chooses which state benefits her the most. Most people are like that, actually, when you really think about it. Mr. Wonderful, Trump's resilience and tenacity is frankly staggering. 7 years of constant lies and slander against him, yet he refuses to waver. A lesser billionaire would have retreated to luxury by now. Some of them have before, yeah. People referring to the cat here. Kitty Clash, thank you to your cat for joining us on Twitch. Adonis Adams, what's the best way to find yourself politically? To say screw politics, just look at what you believe in. What are your beliefs? And then shop around a little bit. Study political ideologies, maybe philosophy. It's like I don't fit in. I can't be a Republican. Number one, I like to win. I have common sense. Number two, I do not agree with the GOP's general line on things like gay rights, abortion, even green energy to an extent, although the Dems they've adopted coal-powered cars, so they've abandoned it too. I can't be a Democrat because the Democrats believe that I should be disarmed, that I should be in a chastity belt, and that kids should be learning, pornographic communism in school. So I'm not going to be a Democrat. I can't join the Green Party because they're communists. I can't join the Libertarian Party because they abandoned libertarianism. I can't even really use libertarianism more broadly as an umbrella term for my beliefs at some points, simply because the term has been transmogrified by certain groups that claim to be libertarian. I'm not a conservative or a liberal. So, I don't know. I'm a Stixist. I'm a clanker. I am my own God. I'm my own leader. I don't need any other. My ideology is leave me the hell alone. I know better what to do in my life than anyone else does. So they can all fuck off. Aaron Bennett. Actually, I think, was there another one up there? Oh, no. Okay. I lost track. Aaron Bennett. To be honest, I think Trump initially wanted to be elected president to say he was president. But over time, he became the mask, so to speak, because he would have said, screw it, and returned home. No, I think that he genuinely wanted it. I think that that's a canard that comes mainly from the legacy media. Well, Trump didn't actually mean to get elected. It was an accident. No, it wasn't. So you're saying that the accidental dude beat the candidate that you all supported? What does that say about Hillary, by the way? I think that Trump is likely to get a second term. I think that he's likely to thereafter endorse whoever his VP was. I'm hoping that it's Rand. And or DeSantis. Either one would be fine. It depends on what Rand wants. Rand's a bit older, and also he would need the executive experience. In a perfect world, that's the chain of command as it would go. I mean, you're not going to bring Pence back aboard. Not at this point. Salty Ironworker. You were the first person I remember to push getting involved in lower elections. For example, mayor, school board, dog catcher. Are you pleased with the way the elections have been going in the past year? Do you see it working? It is absolutely working. You could ramp it up even further and it'd be even better. But yes, the basic strategy, basically the funny part is it's a quasi-adaptation of the Justice Democrats and what they did with AOC and people like that. They targeted districts with old, jaded, neoliberal individuals who hadn't had to run an election really seriously in a decade anyway. And they said, look, in this hyper-political climate, we can simply run someone from the further left against this person. We'll pump them with, money that we got from China in the case of the Justice Dems, and we'll knock them off their pedestal. We'll knock them out, and then we'll have a bunch of people in Congress that are beholden to us for favors. And that's what the Justice Dems with their rich backers wanted. In the populist sense, they've kind of done the same thing, but it's more of a grassroots effort. It doesn't appear to have much in the way of central funding. It appears to be based mostly on a reaction to the left's id poll. And it's much stronger than what the left has accomplished, thus proving that more organization and centrality is not necessarily a virtue. Bunch of people clanking on Twitch. Yeah, on Rumble. Clyde's, what was it? Where did it go? Clyde Six Killer. Hillary is the horde of xenomorph demons infesting her Kuru-ridden body. Yes, Kuru is that disease. They've thankfully eradicated it now. Cannibals, I think in New Guinea, if I remember correctly, were eating their loved ones. The idea was that it was respectful to the dead if you consumed their flesh once they died. But they were eating the brains and spinal cord, and so they were getting this debilitating disease that was causing prions, misfolded brain proteins that can proliferate in the brain as they autofold otherwise healthy brain proteins, therefore splitting out of control. And so people talk about how, the elites are cannibals, and so they've all got Kuru. Now, clearly they don't. This is kind of a meme. But the idea that these people groom, NPR right now is running interference for quite clearly pornographic material in high schools. Not high schools, grade schools, sorry. Yeah, it is a little bit weird when the legacy media is doing that. No, LGBTQ activists are not grooming people. Well, nobody made that claim. We're just claiming that grooming's going on. Why are you focusing on the gay side of it? I don't want straight grooming in schools either. Just to be clear, it'd be just as objectionable to have to fund that with your tax money. Not a banned account. You should research Libertarian Senator Armstrong. I'll have to look that up. Look up Jesse Helms and that dude that got shot down over Korea back in the past. I can't remember his name, but it's been making the rounds in the news once more. They're saying that he might have been taken alive and that the liberals wouldn't do anything about it. Hot stove is hot on Rumble. Is buying a 22-karat gold necklace equivalent to buying investment gold? Technically, but you're paying a massive surcharge. The idea of jewelry in and of itself, generally speaking, especially of gold, is something that I'm generally against. Like the only jewelry that I wear, I've got a wedding ring, it's silver. I've got a ring that I got to celebrate 100,000 subscribers, it's silver with a garnet in it. I don't know. I don't like having gold around me, actually. And I really hate diamonds. That was just the only reason people even fucking buy them is because De Beers ran a successful campaign 100 years ago to convince people that diamonds forever, even though it's going to slowly devolve into a chunk of graphite over the next 10,000 years. I love you so much, honey. I got you this stone mined by 12-year-old slaves in Uganda. Yeah, it's really romantic, by the way. They actually made this a working thing. Commissar Hybrid, by the way, sending $200. Thank you very much. Congrats on fatherhood, Sticks. I look forward to your continued political analysis over the next few years of chaos. Here's a tip for the last 5 years of content that I've been able to appreciate. Well, thank you very much for the tip. And yeah, here's to the next 5 years. If we don't get wiped out by a nuclear war, which Biden appears intent on at least inviting to start. Of course, if Putin's as crazy as Biden's people say he is, he'd probably start one too. So we may be doomed. And unfortunately, power armor and Rad-X and all the other things we'll need, they haven't actually been invented yet. So it's going to be a difficult time if that occurs. You definitely want some sealed baby formula because anything you open up will be irradiated. Oh, my baby is glowing in the dark? Well, it's easier to keep track of them at night. John Cordisco's Corner. The Democrats knew that the Women's Protection Act would fail. Agreed. They wanted to pound Republicans in the midterms, not to compromise and solve the problem. The problem is that they overstretch so much. Again, I say this as someone who is pro-choice. I do not have a problem with abortion existing, being safe and legal. Just to be clear to anyone who's confused. The left overstretched on this issue. It started with Northam in Virginia and his insinuation that he had no problem with effectively what would amount to post-birth abortions. They went too far. Instead of sticking to their original concept, which was in the more liberal states, you had generally a 16 or 20-week limit, which was already fairly permissive, and 99.9% of people have it before that anyway. Instead of sticking to that and saying, look, abortion's legal, we're fine with it, it's a sub-states' rights issue, they pushed the issue. Red states retaliated by creating more limiting bans. And that's what got this started. The red states didn't start it. They didn't say that which one happened first. What happened in Virginia and several other states, or what happened in Alabama? Well, what happened in the blue states? They pushed the issue. They probably figured that maybe they wanted to push the issue before SCOTUS anyway and that they would win. Well, no, they miscalculated. And now they have to pay the consequences. And so do, by the way, a bunch of women. If they really want someone to be mad at the leftists that were effectively saying, hey, if the kid's born but it's not a week old yet, well, it's basically the same as if it's in the womb, right? That's okay. We need body parts. Someone needs an extra brain to slurp down. Klaus Schwab. NBTTL1 Sticks. Caroline Borisenko mentioned you yesterday on her show. Would be awesome to watch you two chat. I haven't heard of her, but yes, I'll copy out her name. If I can do that on here. Oh, fuck, there's no way to do it on StreamYard, I think. Okay, just a sec. I'll put it over there so that I can reference it. Thank you very much for that. A few thoughts. Love your video, Sticks. Longtime fan. Will inflation last until Dems are out of the White House? Probably. Yeah, I mean, this kind of inflation, it's not going to go away anytime soon. Certainly through the midterms, there will still be considerable inflation, even if it's lower than now. And I think it's a 50-50. I think this is one of those little down ticks like we had, I think it was in April and what was it, June or July of last year, I think. The rate ticked down like a 0.1 or 0.2. And people said, okay, look, see, we told you it was transitory inflation. It's going away again because it went down a little bit. They're saying the same things now. It's just like when people write crypto off because it's having a lull right now. We've already seen it happen. We've seen the pattern before. And we've seen the legacy media stories harping on these issues before as well. Mr. Wonderful. Trump also did the job for no remuneration. Call me naive, but I think this wasn't a hollow gesture. Yeah. And of course it jumps down to the bottom. Oh, Christ. James Slade, have you ever considered running for politics? And if someone wanted to, how would they start as a novice? I've considered running for like local office, but I've already decided, I've made up my mind I would never seek federal office under any circumstances. I would never want to relocate to DC. I'd have to be around a bunch of politicians and lawyers and weirdos and freaks like that and craptivists and potentially assassins and weird shit. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near DC. Fuck that shit. Thought about maybe, hey, get back to Rutland, become mayor or something. Okay, it's kind of a low-key job. What do? You know, putter around. Occasionally someone recognizes you because nobody voted for you because 10 people voted in the election. Salty Iron Worker, I see the same people on with you, Salty Cracker and Razor. Any chance of getting the three of you together one day? Give the people what they want, please. That'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be a cool live stream. Kitty Clash on Twitch. Women's rights are human rights, and I'm pissed at all the politicians treating my gender like chattel. Yeah, I am too. They're using you as a voting issue at the moment. This includes the leftoids. That's why they had their show vote in the Senate that they knew would fail the other day to try to make unrestricted abortion up to 9 months the law of the land. They knew it wouldn't pass. If it had passed by some virtue of miracle, it would have gotten immediately injuncted and struck down. You probably can't even have federal level regulations on this, whether they're more or less restrictive than any states, because then the states will sue you. If you go too restrictive, you get sued by the blue states. If you go too unrestrictive, you get sued by the red states, and it'll devolve back into a states' rights issue. The writing is on the wall. At this point, if you care about the issue and you say, hey, a woman has the right to choose, you need to do sort of what the populists are doing and go into states that have made more restrictions, and you need to seek local office. You need to sign people up. You have to do the hard work, and if you're not willing to do the hard work, then your views are bullshit. If you're not willing to do the hard work, then it's clear you don't care about the issue enough. You just want someone else to solve it for you. I have this problem with right-wing and left-wing groups all the time. I have this problem with fucking libertarians. Oh my God, the government's abusing me. Oh, hey, why don't you knock on some doors? Here, I've got a roll of stickers for you. Why don't you plaster these on some signboards? Oh, fuck, no, I've got to get to my shift. Well, then you don't care about that. You only care about yourself. You want someone else to solve it for you. You see this all the fucking time with people all over the fucking spectrum. It's everyone. They're all a bunch of NIMBYists. It doesn't matter what political party they're part of. This is why I'm not a conservative or a Republican or something. The Republicans are just as bad at this. Oh my God, Trump's going to solve all my problems. Oh my God, I don't understand why Trump didn't solve all my problems. We didn't even give him a proper legislature. You weren't even willing to knock on doors to give him enough of a majority in the House. Now Bannon and people like that, they have to do it for you. Spoiled people. They have better things to do. And I'm not ridiculing people who are genuinely poor. They work double shift or something. Okay, I understand you're overworked. You don't have time to go out and knock on doors. Accept it, of course. But they're like college kids and stuff. They think, oh my God, I'm so ground down. I've got my trust fund, by the way. I go to classes for 3 hours a day. I'm so overworked eating all the ramen and stuff. I can't go out and pick it. I can't go out and do anything. Not a band to count. There's no saving America. We need to pull it out by the roots from the ashes. A new America will be born, evolved, but untamed. Senator Armstrong. No, I think that there's definitely a saving of America. It's just that people, again, like I just said, are not willing to do the hard work. That's because they don't really seriously believe things are as bad as they are. They're decadent. Well, they love to complain. Even people who are well off love to complain. They're willing to complain and say things need to change, but they're not willing to be the change. They can't even change their own lifestyle. Oh my God, I've got too little money. Okay, well, you bought this new car that you didn't technically need. Why didn't you buy junker? Oh no, well, I need something that looks better. And that way I can show off to keep up with the Joneses. Bunch of yuppies. Aaron Bennett, Rules of Nature. Ah. George Gabriel. Hey, Sticks, can you shout out movie edits on YouTube? Look for Darth Pesci by the movie edits. Okay, a shout out to edits on YouTube. Darth Pesci. I don't know what that refers to, but it sounds pretty funny. Professor Enoch095. Thoughts on anime? Skeptical on Musk and the CCP. I'm not a huge fan of most anime, although I did like The Slayers, which is a mid-90s anime show. I think it ran 3 seasons, maybe 4. That was an older one, and I liked it. I thought it was good, and sword and sorcery stuff, and the typical like anime fare. I've never been huge into it for the most part, though. Just briefly, like way back in the on-demand period, there was an anime section before they removed it. Funny part is the anime section was effectively subjugate to the porn section for some reason. And they had like Cat House and real sex and weird stuff that I should not have been watching at that age. And they had it. I watched Black Moon. You've heard me talk about it, maybe one of my favorite movies. Old artsy movie from the mid 70s. So it's not. I mean, it's not risque or anything like that. There's boobs in it, but it's not. It was in the same section. And I don't know what HBO was doing at the time with regards to their categorization. It made absolutely no sense. You had to search literally everything to find what you wanted. And arguably, that was better than modern on-demand. They actually had things that were worth watching. You're not going to find it anymore. Go to Amazon. Watch Lord of the Rings by Amazon. Excellent. Mr. Wonderful, become the Rutland Sheriff and shake down hippie transients like that John Rambo bum. I wouldn't want that job. In Rutland, you might actually get shot. The crime rate there has skyrocketed. Apparently, again, I pointed this out weeks ago. I think I mentioned it. I got a report from one of my relatives. It's still in Rutland. I won't name names or anything. That one of the hotels there can no longer even use the franchise name because effectively it's nothing but homeless people squatting in the building. It's been overrun. And this is the result of lockdown economics. And by the way, our idiot, our retard governor should be thrown out completely. He should be recalled for this. But they won't because he plays a good game. He gets the Republicans to vote for him like the sad saps that they are by being a Republican, supposedly, at least in name. And the liberals won't go against him too much because occasionally he'll rubber stamp their gun control and shit like that. He's a fucking moron. Marion Holtzman, Carolyn is a toxic lunatic. Stay away. Now, I hear people that don't like me call me the same thing, so I'll judge that for myself. But thank you for the warning anyway. Don't worry. I'm a good judge of character, mostly. Darun Albane, Buchanan County Supervisor, Democrat arrested for election issues. Many such cases. By the way, please don't send any more super chats because I got to get through the last ones here. We're riding up close to an hour. Beefy King, why do you think blue state lefties are always the scared idiots afraid of everything like Koof? I actually think that the right wing is more scared, generally speaking. Because if you give them a foot, they'll take an inch. It's the opposite of the leftoids aren't the scared ones. And they're scared in the sense that, like, the average leftoid is a soy sucker. They're weak. They're pathetic mentally and physically. You know, you shove them in a locker, basically. That's the average left winger. They're pathetic individuals in every way. But they're not afraid in the ideological sense because when they get together, because they're pathetic, they tend to organize more. So it's like a flock of birds or grasshoppers or locusts invading your crops and stealing all of your food. When they get together, they're not afraid of anything because they know that they can use their superior numeric organization skills to con all of the rich people into supporting them in exchange for votes. And that's how they get their way. But yeah, a lot of people were afraid of the Koof, including some neocons. George Gabriel. Movie edits. I piece together movie parts in a funny way. Also, I put voiceovers. It's pretty funny. I'd post more if I had subs. Thanks. Yeah, so look that up. Get some movie edits going from George Gabriel. Anorak Zorona on Twitch. Greetings, Sticks. I never get to catch your actual streams. Yeah, it's 10:18 a.m. Eastern Time, U.S. New Jocular. Can we clank Scott Adams again? He's alive. No, we're not going to clank on Scott Adams today. I'm too tired to enjoy it. I like using my power for evil, but you know, I have to be well rested to find it funny. To Human Centipede, Slayers is the enemy with the hot orange-haired girl main character, right? If you want something political with giant robot sci-fi action, I suggest watching any of the Mobile Suit Gundam shows. I can't remember the name of the actual protagonist, actually, out of the Slayers. But yeah, she had orange hair. I think the dude that voiced Brock also did one of the characters' voices in that show, playing a roughly similar character, by the way. I think there's a bit of typecasting going on. But it was very sword and sorcery, quite over the top. Yeah, it was a good series. I've kind of grown out of anything anime related, though. Some people will find that offensive that I just said that. Aaron Bennett, this is to go further beyond Ultra MAGA. Yes, we don't have just MAGA anymore. We have Ultra MAGA. We're going to bomb the cartels back to the Stone Age with napalm drones. I have my own suggestions. I'd like to have an hour to talk to Donald Trump about how to take out the cartels. All you need is some Vantablack covered stealth drones, fly them in under the radar and detonate them above their meth labs and shit, shower them with flame and watch them cook. You don't need missiles. It'd be a lot cheaper. It'd be a lot more stealthy. The drone can fly in, radar won't pick them up. Nobody will know that they're there until they blow up in the sky 100 feet above the chem lab, above the coke field or something. That's Ultra MAGA. We've got to use our heads. We've got to think ahead of our enemies. By the way, on Twitch, Synthberry saying just legalize drugs. I do believe that, of course. I completely oppose the drug war. I also oppose cartel groups that are involved with human trafficking. See, the drugs are just an ends to a mean. A means to an end. Sorry. They sell the drugs, they get the money, and then they buy slaves and shit like that. They peddle people around like they're animals or like they're belongings. So screw them. Let them die. Burn them all to death. Burn them alive. It'd be nice to crucify or pillory them, but you have to catch them first, and they usually have weapons, so it's better to just bullseye them with the napalm drone. Trust me, I can make it cost effective. You realize how big a predator has to be? We're talking about something way more compact and quiet than that. Shit, there are people that have made their own private drones. They take a couple drones, hook them together, they can make a gyrocopter out of them. Well, how much napalm do you think that you need? And it's cheap. Basically just melting styrofoam and gasoline, if I remember correctly, or something along those lines. Boom. Well, there goes the poppy field. Boom. There goes the Coke stand. Not saying that I have a problem with snorting cocaine or smoking weed or anything like that, but legalize the drug war domestically, and then American citizens can make money growing the drugs, making the drugs. We don't need the cartels to exist. And hopefully those people, they'll get their tax stamps and stuff. They won't be human trafficking. Fubar 2020, who is the more shit president, George W. or Obama? George W. He was worse than Obama. Yeah, believe it or not, there are people worse than Obama other than Joe Biden. I said it then, I'll say it now. Winston Fujimori. I'm looking to acquire some new Hawaiian shirts and live in the U.S. Any good store recommendations? I get mine off of eBay Vintage when possible. There are some Dutch stores that have them, although many of them are Chinese imports. I don't think this is one of them, but some of them are. It's a company called Shine or something like that. I think they're facing a lawsuit because they rip off the patterns of other sites, actually. Not a banned account. Who's to judge the right from wrong? When our guard is down, I think we'll both agree that violence breeds violence, but in the end, it has to be this way. Yeah, it's the eternal camp, so to speak, but that means you have to fight for what you believe in, and everyone should attempt to maintain peace. Why the hell would you want to fight other people when you can just sit in the garden, feel the sunshine on your shoulders and all that hippie bullshit, and grow food, and then cook it? That's like the best thing ever. And by the way, I say this as someone who never thought that I would enjoy cooking. When I was younger, I always thought it was a chore. Now, as I get older, I'm realizing, hey, it's actually pretty fun. I'm going to be, by the way, attempting an experiment tonight. You're the first to know. If you're part of this stream right now, you're getting top secret classified information that other people that just follow me on other platforms aren't going to get. I'm going to be trying tonight a new kind of pizza. It's one that's alluded to by some hipster shit, but I haven't seen it done quite this way. I'm going to try slicing up pickled beets and putting them on the pizza. And I'll give you a full report on whether it's tasty. I have a feeling, I'm thinking about the taste in my mind, and to me it tastes like a milder version of a pineapple pizza with you know, the beety, savory rootiness of it. It sounds good. I've got an extra pizza just in case that doesn't pan out. Liz will be having mushrooms and extra cheese on hers. I'll be having that on mine if the beet one sucks completely. But if it tastes remotely good, yeah, get some pictures on Twitter. Pickled beets go on pizza. It'll be my most ratioed tweet ever made. Mr. Wonderful, not a cocaine fan, but it smells great. Jack Sparrow, baby fund. Thank you very much for that. By the way, again, please no more super chats. I will be going off in a minute. Reaciona, Puerto Rico. How much formula, if any, was shipped to Ukraine? Yeah, probably all of it, I guess. Maybe that caused the shortage. I wouldn't put it past Biden to do that in the middle of the night. Get a couple of sky fortresses there, load them up with formula, and then just drop them to the people of Ukraine. Hey, you know, our babies will starve, but, you know, we've got to fuck the Russians. Kyle Miller, late to the stream, but do you think that Roe being overturned will help Democrats in the midterms? No, I've covered that, and I do not believe it will give them a significant bump. Because the thing is that the average American wants abortion to be legal, but they don't want it to be unrestricted. Roe v. Wade just punts it back to the states. The problem is all the blue states where people would pony up more votes because of Roe v. Wade, they're in states that aren't going to make it illegal or restrict it further. If anything, with Roe v. Wade gone, they'll restrict it less. Well, that leaves the red states. They're still going to go red. What does this change outside of a few swing districts? Not really much. Susan Wojcicki, Bolshevik from Poland. No, I'm good. I'm just going to sit here and wonder why guys just sit there listening to Tarl while beating their Johnsons furiously. That would be ultra weird. I don't need your website for pandering. Jesus. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. There are people who have done that, dudes that have been into that stuff. I have to tell him I'm not. I don't swing both ways, if you know what I'm saying. What is it? Ixaka Sas. I can't pronounce your name. Ixasa Isk Saka Sashatter. OMG, Jesus has returned. Oh, that took a long time, but good comment anyway. Now, I prefer to be compared to Judas, actually. Judas Priest, as opposed to Judas Iscariot, maybe. Anyway, I'm going to go offline now because I've had my fill of jollies and merriment. I thank you very much for the super chats. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Don't worry, the normal Saturday stream will probably happen this weekend. Sunday stream is almost certain generally, unless there's something big that comes up. I will try to do the Saturday stream. And yes, C. Jacquet is correct. Lena Inverse was the name of the red-haired character from the Slayers, actually. You should check it out if you're into anime. If you're not, don't bother because you won't like it. That's about all.